Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, had the rumor that she'd been a yacht girl in her former life for quite some time, and once in a while this rumor springs up and then it starts to go away, with Meghan presenting herself more as a prim and proper type of influencer and public figure. We're going to talk about humiliation rituals that you must go through as the rite of passage to succeed in capitalism, patriarchy, and racism. The primary power hierarchy in our society is capitalism. In order to support capitalism, patriarchy and racism must exist because these are forms of hierarchy that help to create the status quo and the order, and also set the standard of what it means to be privileged. What are the qualities and characteristics that you need to embody to become privileged? This system is so deeply entrenched in our psyche that all our goals and motivations are about gaining more power and privilege in the capitalist, patriarchal, and racist hierarchy. I do not have a personal opinion of whether I like or dislike Meghan Markle. I believe that's a completely irrelevant conversation. What I will say is that this whole yacht girl in the past and shaming a woman for having slept up to the top is a classic rhetoric, a classic way to try to take down a woman who has gotten to a place where she should not belong. Now, I am not here to defend Meghan or to propose that this is just a rumor, to defame her. They're trying to shame her. They're trying to get her to lose power and privilege that she already has, that she had gained through marrying Harry. That is not the point of this video. What I would like you to learn from this video is to understand that every reward comes with the equal and opposite humiliation ritual. I could believe that Meghan could have been a yacht girl. It makes a lot of sense. Just how do you think you're gonna go from being an American actress, being a biracial woman, to marrying the Prince of England, the OG colonizers and white supremacists? Many people, when they say that they want to climb the ladder, they want to become successful, they want to be the first in their family to do fill in the blanks, have no idea what hierarchy actually means. As in, from one level to another, how much gap there actually is. People may think of hierarchy or the gap of power and privilege from the perspective of maybe corporate positions. How much power gap and what will it take for me to go from this position to a VP level or C level, becoming a president, whatever your goal may be, or even going from where you are to becoming a business owner and excelling in that, i.e. making a lot of money. People's concept of class is more so around the type of privilege ladder that they're familiar with, because it's the type of ladder that they have observed with people around them. The real ladder is this: money does not buy you class. You can make money, but you will never be included in that upper echelon unless you're already from the caliber, and within that enclosed group there is a strong hierarchy as well. People's idea of leveling up is very reductive. You think that if you make another $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, a couple of $1,000,000, or whatever it is in your mind that you define as extraordinary success, that you are going to suddenly be included in all these rooms. And that is absolutely untrue. Look at Kim Kardashian's situation. She was born in Beverly Hills. Her father was a very well-known lawyer. She was surrounded by celebrities, but she still had to put herself through the humiliation rituals to kickstart her influencer career. When you're trying to get into the room where there's power and privilege, your talent and what you can do, your potential, and even having money are not enough. The reason why most people don't understand this is because they were generationally oppressed, probably coming from working class or lower class background, believing that if you have money, you can be with those people. You can have the comfort, the prestige, the elegance, the freedom of those people. While you can buy some aspects of freedom, like having time freedom or not having to worry about bills or having a comfortable home and having whatever material that you wish to have. That's a form of freedom, but when it comes to getting into those rooms and expanding your wealth, expanding your name, becoming a global sensation, or getting into the most prestigious space as one of them, that is not handed out to you because you've had some kind of extraordinary success compared to the people around you. Meghan was born into a film family. Her father was in the industry, and it made total sense that she became an actress, and she became quite successful at it. For some people, that would have been enough, but she had great ambition. Now, if you have that great ambition, then you need to back it up with the right type of action. And how much humiliation rituals are you willing to take? Do you really think that she was clueless about the family that she was going to marry into? Do you really think that it was accidental how she ended up there? Now, there have been many discussions of how Meghan did it and all the ways that she planned, and everything is just speculation. But how do you go from an actress, a regular actress who's getting regular TV roles, to getting into the room with royalty? This is where there has to be some kind of middleman that made it happen. Remember, if you want to have privilege, you cannot be fighting to go up the ladder. You need to be pulled by somebody who's already there and has access to the key to the room, or is already in the room and has the power to invite you in. So now by association, you can be in that room. That's what these parties and events are for. And it comes to me no surprise, or to anybody who has any idea what climbing the ladder in terms of class, not just money, but class, would actually take. She had to have been doing or have done something extreme that most people perhaps are not willing to do. Most people wouldn't even be given the opportunity to do. Even humiliation rituals are once in a lifetime opportunities. And when somebody has gotten to a place where it's an extraordinary level up, then they had to go through and do what it takes. Now, am I saying that Meghan probably went on a yacht? I don't know, and that is a speculation. There are photos of her on a yacht, but does that mean that she has slept with some powerful people or some link with royalty, Prince Andrew? These are all rumors. People love to paint the picture of a scandal because there's nothing more sensational than misogyny on a woman, especially a woman of the global majority. Even if all of this was true, even if she was linked to Prince Andrew much before she met Harry, none of that really matters. Because everything that's happening, whether it's in their romantic relationship between Meghan and Harry, or between any movie roles, or doing any kind of partnership, or having a lifestyle brand, all of that is just business. It doesn't mean that she is a certain type of person of low morals. It just means that she is ambitious, and that was the pathway that she chose, if allegedly it is true, to get to the end game goal. Leveling up in class is not for the weak, and a lot of times you can't even make it happen in your lifetime. The easiest part that you can control in the CPR hierarchy is the money part, but money does not buy you class. Even if you're in the room when you didn't come from that upbringing, or you don't come from that kind of family, you will not be treated as somebody who deserves to be in that room. And that has been happening to Meghan constantly. And the same thing has been happening to Kim Kardashian constantly. One time Obama made a joke when he was president, introducing Kim Kardashian with some kind of event in public, in front of a camera. This video went viral. Oh, what do you actually do? Well, she's an influencer. She's an excellent marketer. What Kim Kardashian does, even if I don't agree with the angle that she takes, because she really appeals to the male gaze, and that's how she sells herself. That's how she goes viral, and the women who are insecure are her followers because they also want to be the best pick-me in the world, which is what Kim Kardashian represents. Even if I don't agree with that angle, she is very good at what she does. Grabbing attention, getting people to take action. That's an incredible talent. What did she have to do to get there? She had to make herself go viral, and in the beginning, nobody pays attention to you unless you have something outstandingly shocking typically what puts you in the lens of CPR, typically following the laws of CPR, which means for women, especially women of global majority, self-degradation. So for Kim, it was the sex tape, the one that she did with Ray J, which allegedly was leaked, but allegedly also not leaked, and it was planned by potentially, allegedly, her mother, who was her manager, who orchestrated this whole thing. And there were some accounts of Ray J and speaking up, and Ray J, who's also related to Brandy, that's her brother, they also have stories about Kim. Now, she's the villain in their story. But to be honest, there's not a way to climb the ladder and play this game without becoming the villain, period. At some point, you have to become the villain. And each level up that you want to do, you have to go through the humiliation rituals required to even have a chance to level yourself up. So what does that look like for you? Because evidently, perhaps your goal isn't to marry a British prince or king. Your goal isn't to become a huge influencer like Kim Kardashian. But maybe you do have that kind of aspiration. But in your life right now, whatever your next level is, requires you to overcome the shame of caring. Whatever it is that you need to do right now, whether that is to go on social media and start your brand, or whether that is you owning the audacity to put yourself in front of many people who will potentially judge you, to aim for a position that you deeply know you may not be qualified for right now, but you're shooting your shot. All the types of level ups that you need to do requires you to influence a group of people. Many of those people will be judgmental and critical towards you. People will sit back in their comfort zone and criticize you and talk about you like you are the devil, that you're evil because you are not fitting into the status quo, the expectation of somebody like you who accepts the status quo and is happy to be the service girl, the helper, the person who's clueless about power, someone who would never act on their ambition because they're fearful and are so severely oppressed and so deeply entrenched in the good girl pray mindset. When you don't meet those expectations, you trigger people, you upset them, and all of that is part of the humiliation ritual. Now, if you are leveling up and you need someone else to pull you up into a room, then you need to play that game. And the game in itself is a series of humiliation rituals. You have to bet on yourself and put yourself on the line, your reputation, your community's opinion, your superior's opinion, your colleagues, even your subordinates. Yes, people who have less than you can take you down. This happens all the time with many influencers and public figures. People who were fans and supported that person also want to take them down as soon as they reach the peak, and they seem to have the power that someone who looks like them shouldn't have, according to systemic oppression and the laws of capitalism, patriarchy, and racism. People's unconscious biases take over. Now, you want to be an artist or a musician, just look at the whole Diddy situation. It is not to anyone's surprise that this has been going on, and it's still going on in different pockets of the world, and people know about it and nothing is done about it. Why? Because when somebody holds a lot of power and has the power to decide what happens to someone's career, their livelihood, and there are millions and millions of dollars at stake. Now, for you, it might be a couple of $100,000, but we're talking here millions of tens of millions and millions and potentially more. When someone has access to that future, that potential, and that's what you're selling, what makes you think that that would just be given from the goodness of their heart? You have to do backflips, front flips, roll, and it takes sexual favors. It takes sex tapes or being party favors, being a yacht girl. The greater the ambition is, the greater the humiliation ritual, and the more lucrative the outcome is, the more fierce and ruthless the competition. So those of you who are struggling to level up in corporate, let's get some perspective here. The type of upgrade that you're looking to do is still very much baby steps when it comes to the grand scheme of capitalism. Corporate compared to business is child's play. So next time you want to do some kind of upgrade and you're confronted by something that you don't want to do, you get triggered by who you have to be, just remember that the oppressive programming is so strong within you. You are not willing to do what it takes, and that opportunity will simply go to somebody else. Nobody in capitalism is going to sit you down and say, hey, you have to go through this. You need to gather up your courage. When you already have this kind of oppressive, triggered anger towards the system, no way that you are going to be convinced to join the competition. It's better for the players to eliminate you from the competition, even better if you self-eliminate. That's why your self-sabotage and you losing, you waiting, you sitting back and hoping for a better timing, that in itself is helping your competitors win. Your willingness to not want to go through the discomfort, and let me repeat, the kind of discomfort that we're talking about here in your situation, in the grand scheme of everything, is child's play, is beginner level. But you're not willing to do that, so it doesn't matter how much you think you have all this ambition, you're meant to do something great, you're meant to be known globally, you imagine that you deserve to become best friends with Rihanna. You don't have the resilience of what it takes to be in those rooms if you can't even play the corporate game, if you can't even post a couple of videos on social media, if you can't even grow your following, if you can't even expand from where you are, if you're struggling in your business growth, you are avoiding pain and discomfort. And in capitalism, every reward requires you to go through the trials, the rite of passage, and that rite of passage isn't just mental struggle, this is very hard. No, you are required to overcome shame. Few people have the ability to turn on and off their empathy depending on the scenario, and that's the path I have chosen. Everyone has potential. Everyone claims to be ambitious. Everyone claims to be the bad bitch, but they live as the oppressed prey good girl because they avoid the discomfort and the potential humiliation rituals that are required to live that life, to even have a chance at living that life. When you understand the capitalistic game and you hear these stories about public figures and celebrities, oh, they had some sex scandal, they've done this or they've done that, or they aren't who they say they are, they're not prim and proper, they're not aligned with the ideology they're selling, look what they used to do. Well, absolutely. Unless you're already born at a certain class and you were given a lot of unearned privileges, then you have to earn that yourself. And certain types of privileges, like being able to go into certain rooms, being the first in your family, that takes incredible, not only resilience, but thick skin, because you have a lot of humiliation rituals coming at you. People will doubt you, put you down, criticize you. But that's not all. You will have to challenge your own identity, who you believe you are, and do things that you believe you never do based on your past self's opinion of you. But because you see that it is required and your ambition is more important to you, you're willing to do what it takes. That is the difference between a winner and a loser who lives in their daydream. The good girl, oppressed prey. Next time you want to judge a public figure or anyone who's very successful for having done certain things that you don't agree with in the past to get to where they are, just remember that that's why they're there and you're not. Go to the description, take action on your bad bitch journey now.